A card. A card. My kingdom for a card. I'm sorry, I'm still just sitting here in awe at that little opening quote. It's just perfect on so many levels. Anyway, hello everybody, welcome to Let's Play Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelists of the Roses, or The Duelist of the Roses. I think it's The Duelists of the Roses. I just call it Duelist of Roses. I mean, hey, whatever. However you're more comfortable in saying it. This is a game for the PS2, and it's just all kinds of weird. It's a grid-based little strategy game, and it's turn-based, like turn-based, grid-based. Okay, well, whatever. I'm just like rambling and not making any sense. It's a strategy game. It's a Yu-Gi-Oh spin-off, and it's all kinds of ridiculous and awesome. It's just awesome, ridiculous. And yeah, you can just see, like, with this intro, it's just over the top, and I don't know, it's a really fun game, although to be fair, I've never personally been able to beat it, because it's also a very hard game. Not so much, like, well, okay, starting off is ridiculously hard, but once you get past a certain point, then things start, like, flowing together, making sense, and the game, like, it just has a really, really steep curve. Like, it's not beginner-friendly, is what I'm trying to say. And by beginner-friendly, I mean just, like, when you begin the game. Because I had a friend who would just play this game constantly. He was a master at it. Like, he would just devote a weekend every now and then, like, multiple times a year, just to beating this game. And even, like, him, during the start, he would get, like, multiple game overs just because the beginning throws a lot at you. It really punishes you. But yeah, here's the menu right here. We got new game, continue, that's self-explanatory, custom duel where you can play against a computer or a friend, and trade, which is really interesting. Like, you can trade in cards from another memory card. So yeah, that's really nice. Like, if you have a friend who like, has some really good cards, and you're like, hey, I'm stuck on this one matchup, can you help me out? Like, they'll be like, okay, sure. They'll bring over their memory card, you can plug it in, trade cards, and hey, you're set and good to go. So we're just gonna be going with a new game here, and already my estimate for how long this LP is going to take has already, like, extended by one extra video because I forgot about the tutorial for this game. And this game, it is a bit on the complicated side, but, like, when you get a feel for everything, it's actually not that bad. So I will show off the tutorial, plus it'll help, refresh my memory on the controls of the game as well. I hope it immediately starts off with the tutorial as well. Also, I hope that this recording does not get corrupted at all, because I had to, like, switch out the memory card because one I had had insufficient space. Whatever, that doesn't matter. The British Empire in the 1480s. The War of the Roses, a power struggle between the houses of Lancaster, Red Rose, and York, White Rose, to decide a royal successor, was nearing an end. When the Yorkists, with the Yorkists well in the lead, the reign of Richard III was but a step away. Yeah, this game is a retelling of the War of the Roses from, like, the 1480s of European history. Yeah. I told you this game is ridiculous, but it's just awesome. And in France, Yugi, Henry Tudor, the last Lancastrian heir, was being forced to live a life of exile. The Lancastrian forces were rendered powerless by ancient cards of sorcery wielded by Seto and his 7 followers who, known as the Rose Crusaders, served under the flag of Lord Crawford, a powerful Yorkist nobleman. Lacking a duelist to champion their cause, defeat was imminent for the Lancastrians. In England, duel card games were still at the fledgling stage. Thus, the Lancastrians had to look elsewhere for a duel master capable of facing the Rosencrews in battle. With this in mind, Margaret Mai Beaufort of Lancaster secretly requested a High Druid, I'm sorry, this is just hilarious, to summon a duelist from another age. And that duelist is you. Or, well, me, technically. Are we not going to go into the tutorial? Okay, whatever. Anyway, this is Simon McMoran. Summoned from the mystic circle of red and white roses, the one capable of harnessing pure power. There was truth to the legend of the Rose Duelist. Lady Margaret, I did it! Now I have the means for defeating the evil forces of Rosencreutz. Oh, my apologies. My excitement, I'd forgotten. I was in the presence of the Rose Duelist. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Simon McMoran, High Druid and Servant of Lancaster. May I be so bold as to ask the name of by which the Rose Duelist would like to be known? And this is actually important because the name you choose actually has an impact on certain things for you in this game. Yeah, so I'm actually just going to cheat the system a little bit to sort of give myself a more favorable start. So yeah, you can just refer to me. Well, no, I mean, that's because see, now I'm feeling bad because I mean that is incredibly cheap. No, let's just see what my name will get me. And I mean, you know, if push comes to shove, if you know, like I get a really bad start or I see like it's like no use for me, I can always just, you know, go in and use Joey. Because, yeah, Joey guarantees you a pretty good start, especially for the path I'm going to be taking through the game to start. So, let me make sure I spelled that correctly. Okay. Capitalist. A fine name indeed. Yeah, whatever. Now, here's the situation. The year is 1485, and you are currently in Stonehenge, near Salisbury, England. The British Empire is in turmoil, with the House of Lancaster's rightful claim to the throne being challenged by the Yorkist usurpers. The power struggle is referred to as the War of the Roses, a name based on the badges used by both sides, a red rose for the Lancastrians and a white rose for the Yorkists. Right now, our kingdom is threatened by the Yorkists and their wrongful claim to the throne. All because the Yorkists enjoy the support of the Rose Crusaders and their sorceress white rose cards. Using our red rose cards, we summoned you, capitalists, to this day and age. We hope that your dueling experience would defeat the Rose Crusaders and lead us to victory. Yeah, but see, I'm more used to the card-based Yu-Gi-Oh, not this field-based Yu-Gi-Oh, but hey, whatever, I can deal with it. You'll help us? Of course you will. Foolish of me to even doubt where your loyalties lie. Rumor has it that that only the legendary rule... Oh my god, I can't read. Rumor has it that the... Take 5. Rumor has it that only the legendary Rose Duelist stands a chance against the power of Rosencreutz. We appreciate any help you can provide against them. Before I forget, I should warn you that rules to dueling differ here from those of your age. Here in England, dueling is governed by what is known as the perfect rule. In addition to several minor distinctions, there are two major differences. One is the existence of movement or positioning, the other is the deck leader concept. These are two aspects of dueling that were lost in the process when the ancient sport of duel monsters was adopted to card form. How do you know all this, good sir? The perfect rule represents these lost rules that were miraculously revived here in England. Okay, seriously, are you a time traveler? Perhaps a practice duel will serve better than an explanation, shall we? Okay, yeah. So yeah, let's go to the tutorial then. And yeah, this tutorial, like, this is why it's going to be like an extra video longer. But whatever, it won't be the end of the world. Let's start with the basics of dueling. First, let me show you how to summon a monster. To summon a monster into play, you must summon it from your hand to the field. Let's draw a card from your deck. And yeah, if you're familiar with Yu-Gi-Oh, this is going to be like just one big, like, fan service nostalgia trip for you. Currently, the card you're indicating is your deck leader, the Dark Magician. Let's order your deck leader to operate your hand. You can do this by selecting your deck leader and pressing square. See the blue square? That's the area where you can place your summoned monster. Let's place the monster in a position directly in front of your card leader. Line up the cursor by pressing the up button and then okay. This is your current hand. Apparently there's only one monster in your hand that can be summoned to the field. That's because summoning a monster requires a certain amount of power. The spot currently indicated is where your currently available summoning power is displayed. At the start of a duel, you have 4 summoning power points. This amount will increase by 3 every turn, and you can accumulate up to a maximum of 12 points. When a monster is placed on the field, summoning power points equal to the monster's level are expended. Your current summoning power points total 4. Hence, the only monster card you can summon to the field is a level 4 monster, the Celtic Guardian. The dark cards are the monsters that you are unable to summon this turn. Let's summon the Celtic Guardian. Okay, let's place the cursor on him. Press X. At this point, if you wish to cancel your selection, press circle. To enter your selection, press the X button once again. You've now summoned the Celtic Guardian and the card is ready for battle. Now let's attack your opponent with the Celtic Guardian. To control a monster on the field, you must first activate the card you wish to move. Okay. Wow, seriously? What the hell are we going to do? Okay. The Blue Eyes White Dragon is your opponent's leader. Let's try to attack the enemy leader with the Celtic Guardian. Okay. First, let's activate your monster by lining the cursor over the desired card and pressing the X button. See the yellow square? This indicates the space where your monster can be moved to this turn. Your opponent's card leader is directly ahead. Let's move straight into the space. To move your monster, you must select your destination with the cursor and press the X button. It's that simple. The Celtic Guardian advanced one space, completing this move for this turn. Monsters can only move once per turn. However, deck leader's summoning does not count as a move, hence the monster can move immediately after being summoned to the field. Since there is nothing else left to do this turn, let's end your turn. End your turn, press start. From this point, it's your opponent's turn. Your opponent is summoning a monster and preparing to attack you. Oh, wow, okay, that's what he summoned, a baby dragon? Alright, I ain't afraid. Now it's your turn. There's an enemy monster heading your way. Let's use the Celtic Guardian to eliminate the threat. To attack your opponent's monster, all you have to do is move your monster into the same space occupied by the enemy. A monster attacking another is referred to as a battle. The outcome of a battle is decided by the attack and defense factors of the respective monsters. Putting the outcome aside, let's attack. Remember how to move your monster? Why, yes I do. And yes, since our attack points are higher than his attack points, we win! And we deal 200 damage to him. So yeah, like if you know how Yu-Gi-Oh works, that's how it is. Only, you know, you're not actually like moving your monsters on the field. Like in actual Yu-Gi-Oh card games, you have like a field where you can place like 10 cards in front of you and your opponent has that same field and, you know, you just play cards and, you know, stuff. It's a tabletop game. You've eliminated your opponent's monster and moved one space closer to your opponent's leader. However, your opponent is now aware of your monster's strength and will probably bring a more powerful monster into play to retaliate. Now let's take a look at the factors that govern the outcome of a battle. Yeah, you have to have your bluff game strong in Duelist of Roses. Here's how your attack played out. Your Celtic Guardian was in the attack position. Your monster automatically assumes the attack position whenever it is moved. The attack position indicates that your monster has either moved or attacked. A monster that doesn't move and holds this position is said to be in the defense position. Currently, your Celtic Guardian and the opposing Baby Dragon are both in attack. The outcome of a battle decided by comparing the strengths of each monster. In this case, both monsters are in the attack position, hence the attack factors of both monsters are compared. And since my attack was higher, you know, we did 200 damage to their life points. And yeah, when life points depletes to 0, that means, you know, you win. Well, I mean, the person whose life points were depleted to 0 loses. As a result, the Baby Dragon is eliminated, and the attack difference of 200 is applied as damage against your opponent's life points. Now let's take a look at what might have happened if the opposing monster was stronger. I mean, and yeah, this is essentially how, like, regular Yu-Gi-Oh! Would play out, too. Only without, you know, moving your monsters. But, yeah, like, you even have to, like, summon things, too. Only, you know, when you're playing the card game, you're limited to being able to summon a 4-star, like, up to a 4-star monster at once. Otherwise, you have to sacrifice monsters on the field to summon stronger monsters. You know, with, like, level of 5 or more. Though I think, like, monsters at level 5 and 6, you can just sacrifice one monster to summon them. And then, like, anything beyond 7, you have to sacrifice 2. If memory serves correctly. I don't know, the rules have changed quite a bit, but I think that has stayed the same over all the years. Let's say your opponent had a Kumari Dragon in play with an attack of 1500. The monster is much more powerful than your Celtic Guardian. When you attack this creature, yep, our Celtic Guardian will die, and we take 100 damage. Yep, eliminated, you lose 108 life points. I was about to say HP. Well, what if the attacks were equal? Let's say a Winged Dragon Guardian of the Fortress number 1, that is a mouthful, when the attack of 1400 is brought into play. What happens? It's a stalemate, and both monsters perish. But no damage is done to life points. Keep that in mind. Yep, both monsters are eliminated. No players suffer damage. Let's take a look at defense. I mean, I can probably tell you about this, but hey, whatever. Hard Armor is a monster with a high defense factor. This card is currently horizontal for the defense position. A monster set in this position cannot move or attack. In battle, the defense of a monster in the defense position is used to decide the outcome. Although the defense of Hard Armor is fairly high, it is nothing compared to the attacking Celtic Guardian. Let's attack the monster. And even though we are going to defeat this monster in the defense position, we do no damage to their life points because they are in defense. That is also a standard rule of the card game. Hard Armor is eliminated. Yep, no damage dealt to their life points. Now let's see what happens if the defending monster is Aquamador. This card has a defense of 2,000. What happens when you attack this monster with your Celtic Guardian? I don't know. Yep, we take damage, but our monster isn't destroyed because they're not actually attacking us back. So yeah, the defense is afflicted. The difference in defense is a blah, 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 blah. Taken out, subtracted, whatever you want to say, out of your life points. Since your attack failed, your attacking monster is driven back to its original position. What if you attack a Rock Ogre Grotto number 2, whose defense is equal to your monster's attack? I forgot about this. Is it just... Oh, it just cancels out. Okay. Though no damage is applied to your life points, your monster is forced back to its original position. That concludes our lesson on battle outcomes. Now let's continue with the duel. Holy crap. Wow. This is long. As you recall, your Celtic Guardian successfully moved into a position where it could attack your opponent's leader. Your opponent's leader is unsupported and defenseless, leaving it wide open for a direct attack. And if this were the card game, if your opponent has no monsters on the field, that would be a direct attack too, where you could have your monsters attack their life points directly. So this is sort of like that. A direct attack is an ideal opportunity to inflict major damage to your opponent's life points. Attacking a leader will result in inflicting LP damage equivalent to the attacking monster's attack. Let's try direct attack. This procedure is the same. Yeah, okay. And yep, that brings us one step closer to victory! So you can see it's important to avoid direct attacks as much as possible. You should act immediately whenever any enemy monster is approaching your leader. So yeah, you know, this plays out like the Yu-Gi-Oh card game and a little bit like chess, along with poker in the sense that you really just want to like bluff the hell out of your opponent and not reveal all your like monsters at once. Currently you're winning, however your opponent may retaliate. With this in mind, summon a monster with high defense. Let's use this monster to protect the front of your leader since it has high defense, placed in the defense position. And yeah, hover and select it for move. Now press L1 and R1 to toggle between attack and defense. Be careful that you don't move the monster to its destination space, as this will automatically set the monster into attack. See? Note that a monster summoned on the field is initially placed face down and is hidden from your opponent's view. This card will be flipped face up whenever it attacks or is attacked by an enemy. You may also manually flip a card up, but you don't really want to do that unless you're playing like a magic or a trap card. We'll get to those later. To do so, select the card for a move and press L2 or R2 to toggle the card face up or face down. Once you have the card in the desired position, press the X button to enter your selection. However, you should note that a face-up card cannot be returned to face down. That's why you should be very careful when you manually turn a card face up. See? That's why you want to bluff. Your opponent has now summoned a Kaiser Dragon, a powerful dragon-type monster. You don't have a monster that's strong enough to withstand an attack from this creature. Fortunately, you have a magic card on the field that's capable of stopping the attack of dragon-type monsters. Oh, Dragon Capture card. Jar, forgot about that. In fact, this magic card is capable of preventing the movement of all dragon-type monsters on the field. Let's use this magic card to stop the opposition and focus on continuing our attack on the opponent's leader. You can trigger a magic card by flipping it face up and completing its move. Flip the card face up in the manner described earlier. Yep, let's try activating the magic card. My god, this is just making me want to pull out my Yu-Gi-Oh cards again and start playing. Oh my god, the nostalgia is flooding back. I miss Yu-Gi-Oh so much. But I mean, the anime just... after the original series, it just wasn't worth watching anymore. The opposing monster has been neutralized with the magic spell. Now let's go after the enemy leader. A duel can go either way. At times, you may find yourself cornered by a cunning opponent. There will be occasions when there is nothing you can do but accept defeat and go for a rematch. You may surrender a match by pressing select. But don't give up too quickly. A well-played card could easily turn the tide of battle in your favor. That concludes our lesson on the fundamentals of how to battle in a duel. Huh, you didn't go over trap cards. Well, essentially those are just like magic cards in a sense, but they're more reactionary as opposed to like you activating them. Oh, they're about to go over win conditions now. Okay, but yeah, you know, trap cards, those tend to be activated when your opponent does something or like moves over to them. And like a magic card, you activate those on your own. Alright, now let's take a look at how a duel is settled. There are 4 individual conditions for deciding the outcome of a duel. One condition is to reduce an opponent's life points to 0. Your Celtic Guardian's about to, yeah. Since your opponent only has life points of 1,000, this will end the battle. Yep, in short, you're about to emerge victorious. The following example is a more complicated situation for which the life point 0 condition applies. In this scenario, the LPs of both players are 500 points. Your opponent has a not too powerful Needle Ball monster in play. However, the monster has a special ability. When the monster is eliminated in battle, it automatically inflicts 500 points of damage to an opponent's life points. Strength-wise, the Celtic Guardian is far stronger. Now let's take a look at what happens when you attack this monster. Well, I think I'm going to kill it and do a lot of damage to them, but then this 500 is also going to defeat me. As you can see, the LPs of both players have been reduced to 0. The result is a draw. In this manner, the outcome of a duel is decided after all the triggered effects have been taken into account. Be careful that you don't get dragged into a draw when you have a good chance of winning a match. Yeah, like, that is real heartbreaking. I would rather lose than get into a draw. Because, I mean, with a loss, at least you can see that coming. With a draw, it could come out of nowhere and you're just like, really? Okay. Another condition that decides the outcome of a duel is the occupation of summon areas. The areas indicated in blue whenever you attempt to summon a monster are called summon areas. If all of these areas are occupied by your opponent's forces, you will lose the match in play. To be more specific, if your opponent occupies all your summon areas at the end of your turn, you lose. Good day, sir. I don't even see how that can happen, though, because, I mean, technically, all the monsters could attack you, and, like, you could be dead before they even, like, take up all your summon areas, but, okay. Well, I guess magic cards and trap cards, too, they take up space. If your leader is in this position, that leaves you only 3 summon areas. When you're at an edge like this, there are only a few summon areas, and if they are all occupied, you'll lose. Depending on terrain conditions, there are spaces that cannot be used as summon areas. In this situation, there are fewer summon areas, and if they are occupied by your opponent, you'll lose. The next condition for deciding the outcome of a duel is LP comparison, resulting from the clock running out on a duel. This will almost never happen. The time remaining in a duel is displayed in this location. The number of turns remaining will decrease by 1 following the completion of your turn and that of your opponent's. When the number of turns remaining reaches 0 and both players complete their respective turns, the outcome of the duel will be decided. In this case, the one with the higher LP is the winner. That will almost never happen. Never. 99 turns. No. The final condition for winning is unleashing the power of Exodia, the Forbidden One. It is said that somewhere in this world there are 5 very rare cards known as Exodia the Forbidden One and its 4 forbidden limbs. Individually, these cards are weak due to the spells that bind them. However, once these spells are broken, an unstoppable force is unleashed. To release Exodia from the binding spells, the following steps are required. First, Exodia must be brought into play as your deck leader. Then you must position the 4 limbs of Exodia in the surrounding summon areas. From there, flip over to attacking position when you enter into your turn without any spells or controls preventing you from executing a normal turn. Exodia will be freed and your opponent will face hopeless defeat at the hands of this awesome creature. And just like in the card game, you know, like if you have all the pieces of Exodia in your hand, that's an automatic victory. That almost never happens though. Like, never, because in a deck of 40 to 60 cards, like, you have to have 5 of them just devoted to all of Exodia, and then just having all 5 of the pieces in your hand at once. It just almost never happens. Though it did happen in like the first episode of the anime, which was ridiculous. Hey, whatever. Now let's take a closer look at some of the other details and rules for dueling. Oh my lord. First, you should be aware that there is a limit to the number of cards that can be placed on the field. Here's a situation in which several monsters have been summoned to the field. Display shows how many monsters you have in play on the field at the moment. Each duelist can place 5 monsters respectively in the field and attempt to... Oh, okay, so yeah, it follows like standard card game rules too, because you only have like 5 spots to place your monsters, so yeah. Maximum number of monsters on the field. That is how you waste cards. You do not want to do that. Likewise, only 5 spell cards can be placed on the field, because also you only have 5 spots for your magic and trap cards in the card game as well. You should take care to leave a summon area open so you won't find yourself in a situation where you're unable to play a key card. Now let's talk about the consumption and recovery of summoning power points. Summoning power points are required in order to summon a monster to the field. At the outset of a duel, each duelist has 4 summoning power points. This is not in the actual card game. You don't have like points like that, but you are really only allowed to summon like 1 monster per turn. Hence bringing a level 4 monster into play at the start of a duel. How long is this tutorial? That's all I can think of right now. Summoning power points spent in this manner will gradually recover as time passes. At the beginning of your turn, 3 points will be added. So that's why sometimes it might be, best to just like pass on your turn to accumulate more points. However, you will not be able to accumulate over 12. Even in situations where the addition of points would exceed 12 points, you will not gain beyond the amount. Some monster or spell cards can significantly help or hinder recovery of summoning power points. Use these to your best advantage. Now let's talk about spell cards and what happens in battle. When placed face down and unused, your opponent will not be able to tell whether you have a spell or a monster card in play. Like monster cards, spell cards can be attacked and can initiate attacks. The face-up monster card is yours. Your opponent has a spell card. When the spell card is attacked by a monster, it is easily destroyed. Although a spell card can be easily destroyed, attacking a spell card will never result in damage to your opponent's life points. Now you have a face-down monster card. In monster vs. monster battles, face-down monsters were turned face-up. Here's what happens with spell cards. As you can see, the spell card is destroyed, but the monster card remains face-down. As a result, spell cards cannot be used to discover the identity of a monster card. The only way to do that is to attack with the monster. Oh my god. Okay, let's see what happens when the spell card is used to initiate an attack. Yep, it gets destroyed. So don't do that. Like, even if the monster is in defense. So what they're doing right now, don't ever do that. Let's see what happens when you use a spell card to initiate an attack against opponent's face-down monster, although it can't be verified the card being attacked is a face-down monster. Yep, just don't do it. Just don't do it. Hey, you bring a spell card into play. When you bring a spell card into play, you should move it carefully. Yeah, just keep it away from everything, essentially, unless it has, like, a specific range. As a spell card attacks an opponent's spell card, the rules differ from those applied when battling a monster. See what happens when you attack an opponent's spell card with a face-down spell card. We take it over. In this case, the attack spell card is destroyed, and the attacking spell card succeeds in penetrating your opponent's defense. Initiating an attack with a face-down spell will let you avoid having the card turn face-up when you wish to avoid it. One of the rules is that a spell cannot turn an opposing spell face-up. Let's see what happens when a face-up spell attacks an opposing spell. Yep, we take it over. The time spell card is activated, it is important to remember the conditions for activating the magic card. A magic card is activated when it completes its move face up. Hence, regardless of whether a battle occurs, the magic card is activated since it completed its move face up. As a result, you should be careful about moving a face up spell. Oh dear God. Terrain. Yeah, like, terrain has different effects depending on your monster. It can strengthen or weaken your monster. Oh great, here comes a interruption. Right now the Celtic Guardian is in space where the terrain has no effect whatsoever. The result is that both the attack and defense remain at, where they are. Let's move it on to the meadow. And oh, would you look at that, both attack and defense went up. Because it has an advantage in meadow. In favor, 500 bonus points are rewarded. Another added bonus when a monster is in its favorite terrain is increased movement. Yay! We get 2 extra movement things. A monster with this mark is toggled to movement mode. Card's increased movement area is displayed in this manner. Please note that a face down card is not awarded terrain bonus, because they can only move 1 space at a time. Okay, it's face down, let's try moving it, and oh, would you look at that. But then when it's face up, look at that. They are really holding your hand in this tutorial. You can see that as long as the card is face up, the movement bonus can be used. So yeah, take advantage of that. This time we have dark terrain. And now we're about to see how it can, harm certain monsters. Like unfavorable terrain. So yeah, move a fairy onto dark, and oh, would you look at that. 500 negative bonus. And then, terrain with special features. You have labyrinth spaces right there. Cannot be entered by most monster spell cards, nor by a leader. In addition, a labyrinth space cannot function as a summoning area. So yeah, you gotta be careful about labyrinths. A card that has entered a labyrinth space by means of effects such as teleportation can easily exit the space and enter adjacent spaces. You must also initiate an attack against a monster located in a labyrinth space. Labyrinth. Oh my god. Wall of Shadow has the ability to freely enter as a labyrinth space. Flame Swordsman has an attack ability that exceeds Wall Shadow. What happens when the Flame Swordsman attacks a monster located in labyrinth space? I think we do damage. And yep, but we don't enter the space. Oh my god, crushed terrain can be entered with no resistance and has no positive or negative effects on most monsters. For this area is infected with a plague that will attack and destroy powerful monsters. Specifically, any monster with an attack of 1500 or more will be immediately destroyed under any one of the following conditions. A monster is summoned in this crushed space, moves into a crushed space, is located in the space that is transformed to a crushed space, or is in a crushed space when either you or your opponent's turn ends. So essentially, any term. Like just being anywhere near it is bad for them. So yeah, we're seeing the crushed space in action. Yep, Celtic Guardian is safe. Flame Swordsman was infected by the virus. The effect of a crushed space is deadly. However, there are no restrictions to exiting the crushed space and entering an adjacent space. So yeah, be careful about crushed spaces. The mark of a good duelist is how well he or she can use the terrain to his or her advantage. Now we will discuss spellbinding. Spellbinding is a condition by which a card is unable to move as a result of the spell. When a card is spellbound, it cannot be moved, flipped, or repositioned for attack or defense. So they're paralyzed, essentially. So yep, unable to move. The turn count for spellbinding begins on the turn, wow, following actual casting of the spell. So yeah, 1 turn we'll be able to move again. It's all good. See? There are situations in which the spellbind can last more than 1 turn, like Eternal Spellbinding, which doesn't release the bound card no matter how many turns may pass. At the moment, Celtic Guardian is held in Eternal Spellbinding. Yeah, because see, there's the infinity mark right there. Okay. Could you really hold my hand any more through this? And no, attribute Spellbinding. Hey, look, it's Parrot Grass. The Parrot Dragon is a wind attribute monster with an attack of 2000 and is much stronger than Celtic Guardian. However, the Celtic Guardian is an Earth attribute monster which places it in a more favorable position against Wind attribute. The advantages and disadvantages of attributes are displayed respectively during the battle. Let's see what happens when the Celtic Guardian attacks. Yeah. In the end, it's probably not worth it. It's probably not worth it because they're only spellbound for one turn. Yeah. Difference can be effective when using a weak monster, render a stronger monster immobile. Okay, well, I guess it does have its uses, but if you're severely weaker than your opponent, that could be detrimental to you. Monster in pursuit, you don't have any surprise up your sleeve, and your leader is isolated, creating a dangerous situation. Even under such desperate circumstances, a good duelist will bide for time, believing in the summoned monsters and the chance of drawing a card that could turn the tide of battle. Your belief in the luck of the draw could be the key to winning the battle. Among duelists, this belief is referred to as the destiny draw. Depending on how desperate a situation is and how gifted you are as a duelist, you may be granted an opportunity to attempt a destiny draw. It looks like victory may smile on you. This is your chance to draw the card that could turn the tables against your enemy. Destiny draw opportunity is signaled by flashing the area that is normally used to indicate that you can summon a monster from your hand. Drawing when this condition is indicated will usually result in the drawing of a card that will help you in your current predicament. Take a look at the last card that you drew, the card on the far right. It should be a card that will bail you out of your current situation. Using this card wisely will help you overcome your desperate situation. However, you should remember that Destiny Draw depends on luck and only occurs once in a duel. When it might happen is anybody's guess. All you can hope for is that Lady Luck smiles on you when you most need it. And that won't happen if your hand already consists of 5 cards. If that's the case, all you need to do is reduce your hand in the following turn in the hopes of triggering a Destiny Draw. Of course, if your deck is low on cards, there will be no Destiny Draw. Luck is an important element to victory. Even the best duelist could lose without the aid of Lady Luck. That is not an optimal strategy. All cards are deeply bound to the duelist. Your experience is vital key to strengthening the power of your deck. An indication of this is provided by rank, a record of card's performance throughout all your duels. Highly ranked card will demonstrate the special powers unique to its nature when the card becomes a leader. Take a look at the Dark Magician rank Field Marshal. I've made a horrible mistake by going into this tutorial. At this rank, the card's special powers are extended support range, increased strength for the same type friendlies, and weaken specific enemy type. Let's take a look at your opponent's leader. The Baby Dragon has the following special powers: increase movement and open opponent's cards. Since there are various special powers that evolve for each leader monster, we won't be able to cover them all. To understand the concept, let's take a look at the Baby Dragon situation. Best way to learn about the special power of the card is raise your own leader and watch it evolve through the course of battle. Baby Dragon has the power to turn any approaching enemy card face up for open viewing. Your Celtic Guardian is currently face down and near the enemy leader. Move the card towards the leader. Kill Guardian is automatically turned face up. Okay, also flip up spell cards. Just find out duel. You'll simply have to raise your own leader and watch the card evolve. Thank you. Oh my god. Wow. That was a lot longer than I expected. First, Capitalist, you must select a deck to duel with. It's important that you feel the vibrations of a deck leader, the minute the minute resonations that ring true to your soul. Cards themselves draw their power from the energies of the Ancient Ones. The deck leader acts as an intermediate between the Ancient Ones and the deck wielder. Capitalist, it is essential that you select a card leader whose rhythm matches the stirrings of your soul. Here are the several decks for which to choose. Give it some serious thought and make your selection. And yeah, the selection he gives you is based on the name you chose. You've got to be kidding me. You This is so not good. Give me a second here. Alright, I'm just gonna go with Bird Face, see how this works out. See, you've selected your deck. So that's the effect of the Celtic Red Rose cards. It looks like there's some truth to the rumor that the red rose cards are capable of time transformation. Who's there? It's been some time since the Battle of Barnet, Old One. Rosencruz, what brings you here? Only a member of the Rose Crusaders may call me by that name. If you may recall, I told you once before that you may only address me as Seto. Or does memory fail you, old man? And you must be the dreaded Rose Duelist. I must admit, there's a certain aura of power emanating from you. I believe an introduction is in order. I am Seto, leader of the Rose Crusaders. There are members of our little group who prefer to call me by the name of C. Rosencruz. I ask you again, what brings you here, Seto? Mind your manners, old man. What else would bring me here? I've come for the red rose cards. After all, it was you who showed me how the summoning capabilities would evolve when the red rose cards are combined with the transport powers of the white rose cards. You aren't thinking of attempting the forbidden rose summoning? If so, then the red rose cards must never fall into your evil hands. Card sorcery taps into the powers of the ancient ones. By their very nature, each card is double-edged. A double-edged sword that can cut both ways. Rose cards alone harness tremendous power. There's no telling what horrors one might unleash to the world by combining both red and white. I will sacrifice my own life if need be to prevent any from uttering the spell of doom. The spell of doom? Fool. The 16 red and white rose cards grant power over all. Druid legend has twisted the true meaning of these cards. We Rose Crusaders have sworn to create a utopia free from the ravages of war. We intend to accomplish this with the power of the cards. And we shall do so by extending the rule of Richard III throughout the known world. By the way, it was clever of you to form a circle of red roses within the white rose barrier to summon the Rose Duelist, but you were foolish to come alone. This area is surrounded, and if you wish to leave with your life, you will do so only by handing over the red rose cards. Me? A fool? Then what about you? Are you fool enough to actually believe the red rose cards will remain here in my possession? Right after the summoning, I had the cards dispersed among our best duelists to keep them from your tainted hands. Then you leave me with but one option. I shall enlist the aid of your precious Rose Duelist. You take leave of your senses. And you speak too soon, old man. Heed my words, duelist. If you wish to return to your proper time period, you will require 16 cards of the red and white roses. The red and white positions must be laid out in reverse of the summoning order to send you home. You know the spell? Since you need the 16 rose cards just as much as we do, I propose a partnership. Help us gather the cards and I shall guarantee your return after we've achieved our ultimate goal. An absurd proposal. Do you think that the honorable capitalist would even lend an ear to your ridiculous proposal? Can you be so sure, old man? Let me see. Simon's side has 8 of the red rose cards, while my side, the Rose Crusaders, has possession of the 8 white rose cards. As the numbers are even, simple arithmetic indicates that you could side with either of us. But I'm sure you'll take into account who's winning this war. After all, who was desperate enough to summon you in the first place? I think it's quite clear which side is better positioned to send you home. Capitalist, heed not the words of this power-hungry lunatic. Simon, must you resort to name-calling? I'm hurt. I'll tell you what, why don't we leave the decision to our dear duelist? After all, Simon, the duelist's future is not for us to decide now, is it? Well, yes, but... Splendid. In keeping with the tradition of the old temple gardens, I offer you a choice, duelist. Here are 2 roses. The white represents me and the red for old Simon here. For the sake of justice, choose the red rose. Stand by my side, duelist. Choose the white rose. And yeah, this determines, like, the campaign you face going forward. So yeah, siding with Seto is first because his campaign is actually more beginner friendly than this campaign, even though, like, in keeping with canon, you're supposed to go with the red side first, even though it's going to give you a harder, like, start to the game. Which is why it was really important I had, like, a really good deck to start with, but Birdface is like... I don't know, I'm so disappointed that, like, Birdface was the best out of those 3. Or maybe not, I don't know. I just went with it because it might give me an easier time against the very first fight. So yeah, we're gonna side with the Lancastrians. How disappointing. Oh well, you made your choice, and I respect that. For now, I guarantee your safe passage until you've met with Yugi. After all, I don't want our little game to end too quickly. That wouldn't be sporting. I look forward to the day when we meet again, Duelist. Until then... That music is far too epic. The French Empire, Brest, Isle of Bretagne. We still have more story, okay. Saxophone does not really fit medieval warfare, whatever. Capitalists, I present Prince Yugi, last Prince of Lancaster, a true Welshman and the hope of all who call ourselves Celts. My lord, may I present Capitalist, a rose duelist. You serve us well, Simon. My mother was wise in summoning you from Scotland. Oh, Simon is from Scotland. Okay, I'm about to say. You honor me, sire. Duelist, I am Yugi. Actually, Henry Tudor is my name, but I find it tiresome. You may call me Yugi. I'm sure Simon explained our situation, but it's only right that I request your services myself. I need you to return to England and put an end to the threat of the Rose Crusaders, and what are you going to do while I do that? Their white rose cars form a barrier that prevents my armies from setting foot on British soil. Although we Celts have the red rose cards, we are but inheritors who are unable to wield their full power. In the hopes of reversing our fortunes, we gambled on a druid legend that spoke of a rose duelist. According to the same legend, one must use a deck whose cost is lower than an opponent's to capture a rose card of another color. I believe that it is important that you keep this in mind. The cost of your deck should not exceed the cost of your opponent's deck. I mean, it can, but you won't advance the story if that's the case. I would like you to note that our resources have been pressed to the limit, requiring us to something England by August. My troops will land in Milford Haven, Wales, and march on to face the enemy at Bosworth Field. Having all the Rose Crusaders out of commission by this time would be ideal, but as that might prove difficult, any reduction of their force would be appreciated. Right then, let us part company and reunite in Bosworth. Simon will provide you with the details as to where and when we'll meet once more. Historians must be watching this and shaking their heads in shame. Alright, so yeah, we're going to end things off here for today. Oh wow, I can go directly into the first fight. But yeah, next time, I mean, we have an option. Like, we can go to Tewkesbury to fight Rex Raptor, or we can go to Chester to fight Weevil Underwood. We'll be going to Chester to fight Weevil. And he's technically easier than Rex, but there's something about Weevil that can really, really screw you over. I'm sorry, what? Okay, well, whatever. Also, if you press start, we can, we have our deck right here where you can go and build your deck, replace monsters with other monsters in your chest area. But of course, like, whatever you remove from your deck, like, okay, you're only allowed to have 40 cards in your deck, no more, no less. It's 41 because of your deck leader. And yeah, like, so if you take a card out of your deck, you have to replace it with something in your chest to make sure that, you still have 40 cards. And also, your deck cost cannot exceed the deck cost of your opponent if you want to advance the story and, like, make progress. So yeah, just a lot of things you have to watch out for. So I will be handling this off camera just to make sure I have, like, a really good setup. I did not mean to do that. Who did I send over here? Was it Spirit of the Books? I was not paying attention. I did not think Square would actually do anything. I was trying to... Oh, it's Triangle, isn't it? To see the... Okay, never mind. X brought him back over, and... Yep, it's Triangle to look at their info. Okay, great. So, Yeah, I'm really going to be looking at all of this, like, just to make sure I have the best team possible to deal with Weevil. And there will also be, like, other things, too, that I'll be going over next time, like Fusion, which is going to be really important if I hope to beat him. I'm also going to have a reference sheet for that. And then also you have, you know, save right there. That's very important, saving your game. Help. Also very important if you have no clue what you're doing. And options. Yeah, well, I mean, we're not changing this. But this... okay, like Fire Emblem, this game has battle animations. And, like, right now it's set to display these battle animations. I can turn this off during the actual fights, too, and I think I will. Like, I want to show off a few, like, attacks just so you can see, you know, like, because they were really hyped to have, like, actual 3D battling in this game, but it takes forever, and it makes the maps longer than they really need to be. So, yeah, I'll show a few, maybe a few per map, so you can see, like, different monsters getting their attacks in, but for the most part, I probably will just have it on abbreviate just to keep things moving along. But alright, that's it for this very long first part. Next time, we fight Weevil Underwood. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day. See you next time for some more Let's Play Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelists of the Roses. Goodbye.